I think that it is really interesting when we look at how we are spending our time, because for a lot of us will probably notice that it's really not a lot with our spouse. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of the Live Your Best Marriage podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Whitney Shayo.
And I'm the other host, Pesa Shayo.
And we are super excited to have you guys listening, because this is the place where we believe that all the couples out there have a chance to live a long, happy life together.
Oh yeah, every couple has a chance to have an awesome and fulfilling and a great marriage.
Yes. And if you guys want to connect with us more, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Whitney Shayo.
And I'm at Pesa Shayo.
You can like us on Facebook,
which is Facebook.com/Live Your Best Marriage.
Or you can subscribe to the blog at liveyourbestmarriage.com/blog.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So one of the things that Pesa and I have been talking about recently is the fact that in our culture, marriage is usually viewed as something that either works or it doesn't work. Either you guys are a good fit for each other or you're not.
Yes.
But what I wanted to talk about is the fact that marriage is more like a very, very precious investment that you have. It's something that the more time you spend on it or the more energy you invest in it, then the better it will be.
Okay.
It doesn't have to just be this black and white issue like, okay, it's either great or it's terrible. We're either going to stay together or we're going to end it.
Because, yes, for most of the time, it's seen as if we are compatible, we will stay together. So, and that's already said. We live happily after.
Yes.
But if we are not compatible, we won't be able to live happily ever after.
Right.
So we are here to say that, no, just like anything else in your life, your career, your sports, your health, whatever, just like all that stuff, the more you put into it, the more you can get out of it.
Absolutely.
And the same way with marriage, the more you actually dedicate time and resources to improving your marriage, we believe you can get better outcomes.
Absolutely. And a lot of folks have the misfortune of their marriage falling short of their expectations.
Yes.
And I think we all go through that at some point. But of course, it will fall short of your expectations if it's not something that is actively being worked on.
It's not actively being worked on. And also remember, sometimes we forget that as time goes by, we also are moving from different stages in our lives. Maybe we met in our 20s. Now we're in our 30s. We'll get to our 40s. And during those different phases, we have different needs and we'll view life differently. And if we don't keep changing the way we relate to each other and just accommodating the new expectations and things like that, we might find that we are not connecting with our spouse. Maybe we were connecting in our 20s, but now when we get to our 40s or 50s, there's not that connection. They become a roommate. Yes. So it's always important, as we are going through different life phases, we also make the adjustment. And the only way to make the adjustments is by actually putting time and just putting time in the marriage.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. Yes.
And another issue that comes up is, okay, well, how much time do we have to spend with one another if both husband and wife are working full-time jobs?
Yes.
Then the amount of leisure time they have is limited.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. And if And I mean, this is definitely a culture where we are encouraged to just have our own individual interests.
Oh, yes.
So if the guy wants to go and do his thing and the girl wants to go do her thing, most likely that is not going to be time spent together.
Okay.
So in the same room. So it just depends on what their hobbies are and the things that they're interested in doing. Is it something that they can do as a team? Is it something that they can enjoy as a couple? Mm-hmm. And so when that leisure time gets divided up and becomes
and also if you have kids,
yeah,
if you have kids, also you have to think about taking the kids to swimming or the fair or
even just caring for the
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that also takes a lot of time. So
it feels like at the end, the couple, the two people who are the most important part of this relationship, everything is built up around them, don't even have time to solidify that connection that they had before everything came along. Yes, absolutely.
And so that becomes a really huge issue when you feel like, okay, I really don't have a lot of free time to start with, and I just feel like, and I also have the mindset that, okay, my marriage either is good or it's not good.
Yes.
It's not, because even for me, for a long time, I wasn't thinking in terms of, okay, well, whatever I put in it is what I'm going to get out. No, I was just thinking like, okay, well, either we're a good match or we're not. And so...
And you're just trying to actually look for ways to make sure that, looking for signs that you're a good match.
Right, yes. Right. It's like, okay, well, as long as we're compatible or as long as we get along, then we should be fine. But the more I start to think that, okay, well, yes, it is actually something that takes a lot of energy. The marriage, the relationship, the bond that you keep really, really does take a lot of your focus, or it requires a lot of your focus. But unfortunately, for a lot of us, it just doesn't get what it needs.
No.
And so I think that if time is one of the biggest things that stands between you having a great marriage, then I really, really think that the household schedule should be a top priority.
Okay.
Because if you can make time for one another, if you can put things on your calendar, then it's more likely to happen. But also, you guys can actually enjoy each other. And I know it sounds like I'm just rambling on and on,
yes.
But the truth is, if you think about it, life is really short. I mean, the time that a married couple will actually have together, over their lifespan, if you look at even a couple that lives until they're 90 and they were married for 50 years, of those 50 years, how much of the time did they actually spend together next to one another? Obviously, not the whole 50 years. Not all day, every day.
And actually, when you think about it, now that you brought up the issue, because of jobs and...
There's church, there's jobs, there's hobbies, there's kids, there's just... there's whatever. There's just so many other things that we end up doing, and there's a lot of time that we end up spending apart. And so, honestly, like... I mean, life really is short.
Yes.
That is not going to change. And the thing is, every moment you have is precious.
Oh, yeah.
Every little bit of time you have together is something that you can use to make your connection stronger. And again, this might not sound like a big deal, but I keep going back to the fact that the divorce rate is at 50%.
Yes.
That honestly, to me, that is very shocking that half of the people who get married, well, the other half are going to get divorced. That to me is just unbelievable.
Yes.
And that's why I don't like staying angry. I don't like staying mad, because I'm like, okay, honestly, I mean, life is just so short. Like, why would I want to stay mad? And so it just really breaks my heart to see that misconception of, okay, well, either our relationship is good or it's bad. It's not viewed as something that can be improved. It's not something that can be worked on.
Oh, yeah.
But it is. It totally is. There's always hope for every marriage.
And I was reading a book by Dr. Henry Cloud, and the book is called The One Life Solution. And we're actually going to add that on our description so that you guys can get it if you like it. But this book has been such a life changer. And the funny thing is, I've had it for a while, but I just never took it that seriously. And there's one point he writes in the book that your time is your life, period. How you spend your time ends up being what your life is. Sounds very simple, like your time is your life, period. How you spend it ends up being what your life is. And to me, it was a very simple sentence, but very profound, because when you really break it down, the final reality of your life actually becomes how you spend your time. So if I'm spending my time fighting and just finding ways to be away from, not be away, but like being emotionally away from my wife, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
When the reality shows up that we don't see eye to eye in a lot of things.
Right. Right. That when you see that the connection just doesn't really seem to be that strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for some folks right now might be listening and they're saying, no, it's not my fault. I really did all I could do, but things just did not work out. But unfortunately, when you think about it in terms of you are in control, that the way you spend your time ends up being what your life is.
Right.
It just kind of woke me up. But there's something else that he also talked about, and he was saying that the truth is in life that there is zero to do. Whoa. And I was like, okay, I did not get that there's nothing to do. And he said there's zero to do, and only you make the choice on what you will do. So unless you are in prison or unless you are still at school, nobody tells you what to do.
Right.
So basically only you make the decision on what to do. So you actually make the choice on how to spend your time. So if marriage is a very important thing to you, you actually make the decision on how to bring you as a couple together. But the truth is, unfortunately, a lot of us don't get it, is there's nothing to do. There's zero things to do. Only we make the choice from moving from zero things to do to the things we do.
Right. Yeah, the actions we take.
Yes.
And what I really love about this book is he talks about a time audit.
Yes.
So going through and figuring out, okay, how exactly do I spend my time? And that might not be appealing for everybody. But if the reason why you got married is companionship,
yes,
if you were seeking that love and friendship and just someone to be there with you, then I think that it is really interesting to when we look at how we are spending our time, because for a lot of us will probably notice that it's really not a lot with our spouse.
No.
Probably not a lot of time spent together. And when you really stop to think about, okay, well, how long am I on Facebook? Or how long am I answering emails? all of those things add up. And we're not saying don't do those things. It's just when I take the time to actually, take that into consideration, then that's when I notice, okay, well, maybe some things are excessive. And maybe there are some things that we could actually be doing together.
Yes.
So, and I've always been a huge advocate of if you go to the gym, go together. And Pesa and I have done that a lot over the years, kind of on and off. And right now, I know this is like TMI, but he goes in the morning. He goes to the gym 5 a.m. And then if I feel like going, I go later in the afternoon. And so right now we are not in a stage where we do that together. But we do spend a lot of time with one another, though, throughout the day doing a lot of other stuff. So it's just, honestly, it's whatever you can find. If it's cooking together, just being in the kitchen at the same time, just having a conversation. It seems like a no-brainer, but it really is the simple things that connect us.
So yeah, and you brought up a really good point. You say that when you look back and you are saying, why did I get married? And if having that companionship was a huge thing for you, how are you spending time to make that work? And so to some folks, companionship was not on top of their list. Maybe they were looking for, I don't know.
So maybe different people have different reasons.
Yes.
For getting married.
Yes, and I don't want to be like a huge type A person, but sometimes you have to reflect and say, okay, how am I spending time? And that issue of companionship can actually help you when you are making the decision between hey, you get a promotion at your job, and now your job will make you, or you'll be having to travel across, now you'll be, so maybe you are a salesman,
right? And
instead of just having the territory, which is around your town, for more money, you are given 3 more states. And it becomes a no-brainer. Oh man, I will get more money, but I'll have a territory which has 3 states, but unfortunately, I will be home just during the weekend. Monday to Friday, I'll be driving around 3 states.
Yeah.
But I'll be able to come home during the weekends. So if companionship was a big thing when you got married, that can be a time to start reflecting and saying, okay, how am I using my time? Yes, I need the money, but what can I do so that I don't miss on this companionship? And I know sometimes life is not as easy. We are not in a lab, or things are not as easy as I'm saying, but sometimes you might have to take a crazy job as you're trying to maybe get up more savings or whatever. But once things are settled down, maybe it's time to say, okay, now things are more settled, and maybe now it's time to go back and reconsider my goal in the beginning. Why did I get married?
Right. And that's so interesting that you mentioned getting extra work that's going to keep you away from home longer, because we haven't even scratched the issue of working a whole shift with people who may actually be distracting you from your spouse even more. It could be that you're spending a lot of time with single people at work who want to go somewhere with you after work and hang out, rather than you going home to your wife or your husband.
And you might feel like, oh, it's part of the job. It's part of the job, and I need to do that just to stay current with what's going on. We can question that, but sometimes there's a huge feeling like I have to, and sometimes I'm finding out that when you feel like you have to, maybe you don't have to.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. And we also haven't talked about spending so much time with people of the opposite sex at work, and then less time with your spouse. We haven't even actually gone there. We're just talking about the issue of time. And so another thing is I totally got married for the companionship. I mean, I crave just having that special friend with me. And so I've noticed that being present in the moment really, really has helped me a lot, just to enjoy the small things, because it's the little things really that make me happy. So if I see Pesa sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee, I'm like, you know what? I am gonna just sit down next to him and have a conversation, because that's just, I want that friendship. I want that companionship. But if I'm not present in the moment, which, I mean, really takes a lot of work for me, my mind will be so scattered, and I'll just be thinking, okay, well, I've got this other thing I need to do, or there's the other stuff that I didn't finish, so I need to go back to that. I need to run back out of the room. But just remembering that, okay, I can actually just focus on what's happening in front of me. I can make him a priority, and I can just enjoy my husband. And so that might sound like more work, but it's totally worth it.
And and for those who are thinking right now, like me, like, oh, that sounds like they live in a fairyland, or like this perfect world. We are not saying that we live in a perfect world. What we are saying is actually sometimes being scattered, running everywhere, doesn't get things done.
Multitasking,
quote unquote, it doesn't get things done, and you still feel scattered. You still feel like but that's not what you still feel scattered.
Right. No, that's a really, really good point to bring up, because I used to be huge on multitasking. I actually thought I was getting more done, but taking time to enjoy the little things, taking time to stop and smell the roses, I'm a big advocate of that now. I really am. Especially when it comes to enjoying the kids. That's another huge priority of mine. And
I like how this guy has put in the book that what you decide to do in your life is actually something that you choose. You choose to go from zero to an activity. So I really love the way he broke it down. Like, your time is your life, and how you ends up being your life.
Absolutely. So I mean, the whole point of this, I know sometimes it sounds like I get off the topic, I go around and around, but really the whole point is just marriage is something that whatever you're putting in is what you'll get out of it. I mean, it's a two-way street, and I know, like, sometimes it might seem like one person might be more invested than the other, and honestly, we would just encourage you to pray on that, and just fight for it, really, because it's so worth it.
And for me, I always say it's really hard to get both people giving 100%, because what you even consider 100% might not be your partner's definition of 100%. They might be thinking they're giving 500%, but to you are like, man, they're really goofing off. So that is actually not the issue. Sometimes just knowing that they're in this to win it, they're in this for the best, and not sitting there just measuring, oh, I did this and she did not do this. Because that always just leads to more frustration.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So, folks, that wraps up another episode. And we just want to encourage you, whatever issues you're going through, we want to let you know that there is hope, that it can get better. And maybe it's not you. Maybe it's a couple that you know. And we would just encourage you to share these tips with them. And we will be back in a few days.
Okay, folks, bye and God bless. And don't forget to subscribe. And folks, we'll also put the name of the book, The One Life Solution, on the description so that you can go and get it too. Thank you. Bye.
Are you tired of being upset, lonely, feeling empty, or just plain frustrated with your marriage? And no matter how hard you try, you're not getting anywhere, just going in circles? No matter how much you try to make time for one another in your schedule, or how many times you say, "I'm sorry," Pesa and I have put together 99 ideas to help you connect with that one special person so that things can start to be more like the way they were before everyday life got in the way and caused the two of you to drift apart. We want you to have 99 ways to show love to your spouse absolutely free. You can find it at 99waystoshowlovetoyourspouse.com. Because here at Live Your Best Marriage, we truly hope that the two of you can move closer together and enjoy the connection that comes from achieving a stronger bond. Again, that's 99waystoshowlovetoyourspouse.com. That's the number 99waystoshowlovetoyourspouse.com.